The other part of the film are three sections of interviews with three 11-year-old girls. And this is related to, I think, one of the most important events in UFO history, which occurred on September 16th, 1994, last year. What occurred was, after 2 days of sightings of objects in the sky and flashing lights recorded by the BBC reporter there, station chief in Harare, the capital of Zimbabwe, at 10 o'clock on the morning, Friday morning, at this school where these children were, 20 minutes outside of Harare, the older children who were monitoring the younger children noticed that the younger children were wandering outside the school perimeter. They were going further out of the schoolyard than they should have gone. So the older children followed the younger children to bring them back, and the younger children pointed to in the field and said to the older children, "Look," and the older children saw this large UFO hovering above the ground and several smaller craft there and two or more alien beings there. And the children became very excited, all of them. 60 or more children saw this, the ones that were out there. As happens so often, and Jacques and others may comment on this, there's always this irony of data. The adults were in a meeting, the children came rushing in excitedly, frightened about what this mysterious thing that they had seen. They told the adults excitedly, no adult went out to see this. And by the time the break was over and it was time to go out, there was nothing there to be seen. And this trickster-like play of information just runs constantly through this field. Maybe Peter Stora could comment on if you have some familiarity with that elusiveness of data that, because these kids, at first they didn't believe them, and many of the parents didn't believe the kids, but as the consistency of the stories came up over and over and over again, this very hard-nosed headmaster came to the conclusion those children saw something that was not of this world. That was his phrase. And even the teachers, who were even more skeptical, we met with all the teachers in a room, and we went around the room to hear what they thought, and they said, I know those kids, this happened, they saw it. The teachers were shocked and appalled, but it was kind of like a single event just shattering their worldview, because they were geared not to believe this, and yet there was just no other explanation. Now what you'll see is interviews with three 11-year-old girls, two white girls, one black girl. This is a private school. The children it's not, like a crude school in the bush or something. They're very educated kids. It's in the English colonial system, left over from that. And a couple of the kids, not these, I would say to them, well, just to play the devil's advocate, I would say, look, let's say that, adults would, we'd say that one of you made this story up as a kind of prank, and you told your friends, and you sort of all thought it'd be a great trick to play on everybody that you saw this, and the kids would hear me and they'd think about it, and they'd say, well, yes, I suppose, but no, here's what I saw. And they would say their own first-hand experience, and which in a way illustrates one of the difficulties in this. We don't really, what I learn about this, I learn clinically. There may be physical findings, there may be corroborative marks on people's bodies, there may be independent observation that somebody is missing, and I have that in several cases. But what I'm forced to, and in a sense that's my strong suit, is to make a clinical judgment based on the relationship that I establish with, maybe you could comment on, because this is what you do in psychiatry, and the physical evidence, which is what people tend to concentrate on, and perhaps appropriately, is in my work secondary to the knowledge that is obtained from between two psyches, if you will, because and then I have to make a judgment based on my, is this psychosis, and how do we decide that? Is this some other form of trauma? displaced onto UFOs or whatever. And I have, as everyone who knows my work, I've come to the conclusion, having gone at this from every possible angle I know how, I've not been able to come up with any alternative explanation. It is what it is, apparently, whatever that means, whatever the source of this may be. But again, as you hear these children, then you can make up your own mind whether you think they're putting you on or that they actually saw or experienced what they experienced. So we'll show the film, and then I tried to frame some questions for approaching the discussion, and I'd be glad to talk substantively about aspects of my work that I have not talked about if it's not familiar to you, but within the framework of these basic questions. Okay, so are there any people who are expert in semantics or semiotics or any of that kind of thing here? Because once the short answer is yeah, it's real. Okay, I mean it's a little bit like you know, Daniel Brinkley, when he talks about near-death experiences, he's got the Daniel Brinkley short course and the Daniel Brinkley long course. He was struck by lightning. He said the long course is you can read his book and listen to his lecture. The short course is stick your finger when it's wet in an electric socket. You know, I mean, the short answer is it's real. But then in the things you're saying, requires a very complex ontological discussion of real. Now, you started to define reality by things you can touch and feel in this real physical dimension. No, but you can't reduce it to that.
That's the problem, though. You see, the problem we're having is that maybe we're trying to reduce it. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm asking you, what do you feel at this moment? If you had to cut it in a court of law and say it's as real as this person sitting next to me, or it's not as real as this person is, how would you answer a question like that?
Now you're talking about how real in terms of, of gradations of reality. If you're in as you yourself know, and other people who are students of Eastern philosophy and religion, in those cultures, this physical material reality is less real than other. Don't shake that off, because that's a legitimate ontological position. I would not argue that the stronger reality is that which the sensory motor apparatus can countenance. So this is real in both sense. You can say this is more real because it's both real in the physical sense and it's real because it's an entry from another dimension. But you're really asking me to answer the question that I wanted to pose. I mean, I'm continuously having to deal with questions of reality. It manifests in this reality, real, physical. People have burns, they have physical lesions on their bodies. It's real in our physical universe. Yes. Is it of this physical universe? Are those hybrids real in the physical universe in the same way? Maybe not. Maybe there it's a projection of some kind of holographic images. I don't know. Credo Mutwa talks about, you had mentioned smells. I mean, he's talking about powerful smells, terrible smells, vivid. I mean, he would say, you know, he's already, I mean, he would say, stop arguing about this. It's real. Let's get on with it, you know. But you know, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, you know, perhaps we need to expand our definitions of real. But I'd like to hear some others' thoughts on because that's one of the questions I did ask. Is the question of well, that would be you know, the resistance idea. In other words, we don't want to accept it. The first question is, what is the resistance to accepting this as real and moving on?